Hello students, welcome back to the science class once again, and I hope you would have definitely gone through the previous episode, and today the same unit, 17th unit, we are going to just continue an interesting topic today children. We are just going to learn about the sexual reproduction in human beings. Okay, it's going to be very interesting. I hope you will concentrate and listen to me carefully. Okay. So when we talk about the sexual reproduction in human beings, you will have to, from the name itself, you can understand children, both male and female sexes are involved. This I have already given you instruction in the introduction. And once again, what is sexual reproduction? I'll just go through that. Fusion of male and female gametes, okay? So fusion of male gametes, you know very well. Male gamete, in the case of human beings, it's sperm, and female, it is an egg. Otherwise, you can call it as ova. So fusion of sperm and egg, then it forms a complete product called as zygote. So egg will carry N, single N means one nucleus, and sperm will also have one nucleus. So both N and N joined together, it forms 2N, which is the resultant product of fertilization, which is nothing but zygote. Do you understand? So fusion of male gamete sperm and female gamete, okay? Sperm and ovum joined together, the complete product, which is known as zygote, is the final product of fertilization. I hope it is very clear. Now we'll just move on to the organs which are related with this sexual reproduction. When we talk about the sexual reproduction, definitely we will have to talk about male separately and female separately in the case of human beings. So let us just see now what are the main sexual organs present in the case of male. In male, sexual organs are broadly divided in two categories, children. One is primary sex organs and the other one is secondary sex organs. Otherwise, you can call it as accessory sex organs. So when we talk about this primary sex organs, in the case of male is testis. So before going into the detail, this diagram which is given in the slide, once again I'll just go through. You can see a beautiful diagram on the slide where you have the combination of a single N, which is nothing but egg and sperm fuses together. It gives the product called zygote, which is going to develop into a new fetus or an individual or a baby in later stages. Okay, so that is the end of reproduction. So again we are moving back to the reproductive organs. As I explained to you, in the case of male, primary sex organs are nothing but a pair of testes. Now I'm just going to teach you that primary sex organs and also secondary sex organs in detail. Now we'll just move on to the primary sex organs. In the case of male, you can see the beautiful diagram given here, and there is a complete reproductive system of male as well as the structure of testis, LS, longitudinal section of testis you can come across in these two diagrams, children. And definitely 9th standard you would have learnt about the anatomy and physiology of reproductive organs in detail. Anatomy is nothing but external structure. Physiology means functions. So external structure as well as the functions you have already learnt in 9th standard. Let me just give you a recap on that. So when you talk about the male reproductive organs, a pair of testes which are present at the either side of the abdominal cavity, lower part of the abdominal, this is called as abdominal cavity. The lower part of the abdominal cavity, each male will have a pair of testes, okay? And this testis, when you talk about the testis, it is not just left out, whereas it is well protected by a outer sheath like this. Inside testis is there, and outer a thick sheath called as scrotal sac, scrotum. Scrotum is nothing but thick tissues inside which a testis is present, okay. So as I mentioned now, a pair of testes are present on either side of the lower abdominal cavity externally in the case of male, and which is covered by a thick sheath called scrotal sac. It's like a bag. So they are well protected. So from the name itself you can understand protection. They protect the inner organ, which is nothing but the testis safely from external injury and other mechanical injuries. Is that clear, children? So scrotal sac which covers a pair of testes. Again, when we talk about the section, you can just look at the diagram here, children. So the pair of testes which are called as the very important organ of male reproductive system. This is called as primary sex organ. Okay, just now I told you the other type, accessory sex organs are secondary sex organs. Now I am going to teach you in detail. Secondary sex organs, from the name itself you can understand, they are going to assist the primary sex organ during the the process of fertilization, okay, so that the fertilization will go on properly. So they are going to access, that's why accessory organs. Now I'm going to teach you the accessory organs of male reproductive system in detail. Please listen carefully, okay. Look at the diagram, children. Longitudinal section of testis is given. So longitudinal means straight. In this diagram you can understand straight cut longitudinal section of testis, where you can see the important parts here. A testis, as I just now told you, each male or a boy will have definitely a pair of testis, children, from his birth, okay. So this testis, as I told you, when the section is taken, the testis is actually covered, as I mentioned earlier, scrotal sac is present outside, but we are talking about the internal structure. So each testis is covered by, or just outer line by, tunica albigna. You can see the spelling there, an outer sheath. It's like a tissues, okay, compact tissues by which each testis is surrounded, okay, and that is called as tunica albignae. You can just look at the spelling. And this tunica albignae, what happened? It is an outermost sheath, and after some time, when the boy or the man is growing, this tunica albigna, which is outermost sheath, will be just forming septa inwardly. Septa means lines, children, lines. Septa will be formed inwardly. So you can see inside the testis there are a lot of compartments, chambers, okay. So they are called as lobules. You can come across these labels in the textbook and the diagram also. So as I told you, testis covered by tunica albigna, children, and tunica albigna will give out septa inwardly, and these septas are called as lobules. Lobules are very important, okay. So now listen carefully. These lobules, as I told you, which are nothing but the inner compartmental space, are very important in the case of a male, because they are provided with three important organs or cells, you can say. One is seminiferous tubules, second one Sertoli cells, and third one is Leydig cells. These are the three important cells by which the lobules are completely filled in, okay. So let me just teach you each and everything in detail now. So we are just going to see the internal part of the testis of a male. Now, as I told you, the inner surface is completely provided with seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules are responsible for the formation of sperms, and that process is called spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis. Genesis means production. Spermato means sperm. So sperms are produced in the case of a boy or a male during its puberty time. That the puberty detail I will teach you a little later. Now you please try to understand. So seminiferous tubules, which are present inside the lobular region, they are responsible for the production of sperms, okay. Next we go to the Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells, you can look at the spelling there. Sertoli cells are also embedded, are present in between the seminiferous tubules, and they are otherwise called as nurse cells. You know, duty of a nurse in the hospital, children. So they take care of the patients by giving food and all, isn't it? Same way, these Sertoli cells are called as nurse cells because they are going to supply the nutrients, food, to the developing sperms. Seminiferous tubules produce sperms, isn't it? They'll be in lakhs and millions in number. So each testis of a boy or a man will have thousands to lakhs of sperms inside. They should survive, isn't it, children? So what happened? To survive, what do? You eat food every time, isn't it? 3 times at least in a day. Same way, these sperms are in need of food. So that food will be supplied by the Sertoli cells, which are present in between the seminiferous tubules. Is that clear, children? And the third one you can come across is Leydig cells. Leydig is scientist name. After his name only, this particular cell is also named as Leydig cells. Leydig cells, what is the function? As I told you, seminiferous tubules produce sperms, and nurse cells, Sertoli cells, nursing the. And the third one, Leydig cells, they are very, very important. They are also present in between the seminiferous tubules, but they secrete a main hormone known as testosterone in the case of male. When a boy doesn't secrete testosterone, he cannot undergo reproductive cycle. You understand? So testosterone is a hormone which is secreted by the Leydig cells. I hope I clearly told you the functions of seminiferous tubules, Sertoli cells, and Leydig cells. Yes? Now I am just going to tell you the accessory organ. These are all coming under primary sex organ, children. Now I am going to teach you the accessory organs, that you can just see the diagram itself. And here you have, of course, I told you, testis, a pair of testes are present in the lower abdominal cavity. That is considered to be the main sex organ. Then accessory organs which are just connected in this reproductive function. Okay, you can say testes will be given out as vas deferens, and they are ended up in seminal vesicle, and they are getting the secretions from prostate gland, and finally sperms will be coming out through penis. So all these are the accessory organs. So they are considered to be the secondary sexual organs. Once again, vas deferens, seminal vesicle, prostate gland and penis. These are all the accessory organs connected with the male reproductive system. So I taught you now primary sex organs, a pair of testes and its detail, and accessory sex organs related vas deferens, seminal vesicle, prostate gland and penis. These are the organs which assist the reproduction in the case of male. So they are considered to be the accessory organs. Is that clear? I will move on to the female reproductive organs in detail. Female reproductive organs, very interesting children. You can come across a beautiful diagram of LS of ovary. LS of ovary little confusing in a textbook, so I have just given you a complete reproductive system of a female. Okay, so when you talk about this female, one interesting point or one difference between the female and male reproductive organ is female reproductive organs are kept inside the body, whereas male reproductive organs are outside. Yeah, it's present outside the body. So any problem related to sex organs, any diseases, it is very easy for the doctors to diagnose in the case of male than the female. Okay, so female reproductive organs, as I just now told you, they are kept inside the body. So you can come across these points in a textbook where you have a pair of ovaries are present inside the abdominal cavity. They are not present outside. So they are present in the inside abdominal cavity on either side of the abdomen. Female will have a pair of ovary, and this ovary is very, very important, and this is considered to be the primary sexual organ. Is that clear? So a pair of ovary which is present in the inner side of the abdominal cavity, lower abdominal cavity, plays a very, very important role in the case of female, and that is called as a primary sex organ, children. Now I'll move on to the accessory sex organ. As I just mentioned earlier, in the case of male, same thing. This is different organs which are assisting the ovary to undergo reproduction. These are called secondary sexual organ or accessory organs in the case of female. Now let me just list out the accessory organs in the case of female reproductive system. So very easy. A pair of ovaries, friends, look at the diagram, children. A pair of ovary is present on either side of the abdominal cavity, and again they give out a branch called fallopian tube, and the fallopian tube will just run from either side, left side and right side. They join together and they come down forming a bag. Yeah, you can see the bag-like structure called uterus, and the uterus will be opening out through cervix and vagina. Cervix is a mouth of the uterus. It is otherwise called as birth canal also, through which baby will come out at the time of delivery. Once again revision: ovary, fallopian tube, either side of the fallopian tubes join together, they form a bag-like structure called uterus, and the uterus will be having a mouth called cervix, and cervix again has an opening called vagina. So fallopian tube, uterus, cervix and vagina, these are all called as accessory organs or secondary sexual organs because they always assist ovary to undergo for reproductive cycle. I think it is very clear, children, and you can just look at the diagram and furthermore it will be clear to you. Is that clear? Now let me just go on to the internal structure of the ovary, which you have the second diagram in your textbook. Here also on the slide you can see, children. When you take this ovary alone, I am just taking one side of the ovary, view under the electron microscope. These are the following structure, children. Very interesting. If you are a girl, you will be surprised to learn about your uterus now. So hope you will listen to me carefully, children, and just think almond shape, badam. Yeah, you call it as badam parpu, yeah, that shape. So that almond shape structure is only ovary, which is present as a sex organ in the case of a girl or a female. Okay, so the almond shape ovary, now we are going to learn the internal structure, actually what is happening inside the ovary. It's going to be a very, very interesting topic, children. So when this ovary is cut in a longitudinal or CS section, you can see cross section, you can see lot of details, yeah, lot of intricate structures inside. You can see the diagram here. and underlined by so many layers, outer layer, inner layer, middle layer. In the case of female, they have small minute cells called follicular cells. So that's a diagram here, children. Follicular cells, you can see the small follicle at the time of birth. A girl baby will have that. As she grows, you see the stages of development of the follicular cells in the diagram. So it keeps on growing. At one particular time when the girl attains puberty, from at the age of 11 to 13 children, so this follicular cells is called as a Graafian follicle. They become matured enough. They will have the egg inside. Okay, that you're going to learn in menstrual cycle in detail right now. And before that, let me just teach you the different parts of the ovary now. Ovary is broadly divided into outer cortex and inner medulla, children. Outer cortex, as you all know very well, always it's very important, not only as a covering, it has lot of intricate structures are present in that. And when you just talk about the outer cortex, it is just covered by a germinal epithelial layer. A layer which covers that outer cortex is called germinal epithelial layers. Why it is so important? This germinal epithelial layer has lot of granulosa cells, granules, round cells are present on the germinal epithelial layer of cortex. You understand? These granulosa cell later will be converted into follicular cells. These follicular cells inside the ovary, as the girl grows, what happened? They also will grow, and as I just now told you as an introduction, they will be just converted into Graafian follicle later. Small round shape structure. Then it keeps on enlarging, and finally they attain one round shape inside which they will have an ovum or an egg. So that is called matured Graafian follicle or mature follicle. So that is why this outer germinal epithelial layer, which carries granulosa cells, play a very important role in the case of ovary. I hope it is very clear. Outer germinal epithelial cells, and they are provided with granulosa cells. These granulosa cells will be converted in the case of a girl as follicular cells, and these follicular cells later will be changed into Graafian follicles, which will carry the egg or ovum inside. That is the structure of female reproductive organ. Now I'll move on to the next topic, children. Gametogenesis. So far I taught you very clearly the structure of a male reproductive organ and a female reproductive organ. So I think you have a knowledge of a sperm as well as a ovum in detail now. Let me just move on to the process of fertilization. So fertilization, in the beginning itself I told you, it's a part of reproductive cycle. At the end, a baby, a fetus will be grown into a baby. That stages you are going to learn in detail now. So before going into the detail of fertilization, we will begin with a very important topic called gametogenesis. What is the meaning of gametogenesis? Genesis means production, wherein here the gametes are going to be produced inside their organ. If it is a male, sperms are going to be produced. If it's a female, ovum is going to be produced. Is that clear? So that process is called gametogenesis, formation of gametes in the sexes. So gametogenesis is of two types. Okay, if you are a male, it is called as spermatogenesis. If you are a female girl, it is called as oogenesis. Spermatogenesis, from the name itself, you can understand sperms. Genesis, I told you, production. Sperms are going to be produced. That process is called spermatogenesis. If it's a girl, it's called as oogenesis. Genesis, again, production. Oo's ovum. Ovum is otherwise called as egg. So spermatogenesis, oogenesis, both together called as gametogenesis. So if you are a female or a male, and final product, which is nothing but the gametes, are produced in your body at the end of gametogenesis. Okay, children, I think it is very clear. So gametogenesis is a process which is nothing but the combination of spermatogenesis and oogenesis. It's not actually combination, it differs, because if you're a male, if you're a female, and one process will be carried in your body. Is that clear? So reproductive gametes or the sex gametes will be ready for the reproduction. Okay, now we'll move on to the structure of male sperm, male reproductive gamete, which is nothing but the sperm in detail. It's going to be very, very interesting, children. Look at the diagram. We have male sperm, and you can see all the labels are marked very clearly, and I'll teach you in detail now. Scientists have discovered a human male will produce thousands of sperm at the time of birth. For example, if a baby which is born as a boy, the boy baby will have only hundreds or thousands of sperms at the time of birth. As the male grows, and as I told you, they too also attain puberty, and spermatogenesis starts here. Sex organs will start function from 13 to 14 years, and at that time what happened, these hundreds or thousands at the time of birth will be multiplied in number, and each male or a boy will have millions of sperms in his testis. Now we are going to learn about only one sperm in detail. You can look at the diagram that one sperm, which is considered to be a male gamete, consists of three major parts. You can see there, the first part is called head, the second part is called middle piece, and the third part is called tail. Head is very, very important region, children, and without which a male or a boy cannot undergo reproductive cycle. So head, you can see, it's a triangular shape and it has pointed tip, children. That pointed tip is called as acrosome. You can look at the diagram, acrosome, which is very, very important at the time of fertilization. This acrosome, as I told you, very, very sharp, and which secrete an enzyme called hyaluronidase. Hyaluronidase enzyme at the time of motility, when sperm is moving towards the ovum for fertilization, this acrosome tip will go and pierce the eggshell. It will go and just poke the eggshell. This hyaluronidase enzyme will be helping this sperm to pierce through the ovum at the time of fertilization. That you will be learning in detail later. And now we'll move on to the center part of the head region, which carries a important part called as nucleus. Nucleus is also very important because they have the hereditary material called DNA. Okay, so nucleus is also present in the center of the head region. It is moving to the center part called middle piece. Middle piece is also very important, children. It has mitochondria and centrioles. Mitochondria, you would have learned in 6th and 7th standard. It gives them energy. So when they want to move in the female reproductive tract, they are in need of energy. So this energy will be provided by mitochondria, which is present in the middle piece of a sperm. So mitochondria along with centrioles and helps the tail of the sperm to move towards the ovum. So they are in need of energy. So that energy will be provided by the mitochondria. And tail, as I just now told you, they are the motility organ in the case of sperm. I hope it is very clear. Head region, middle piece region, tail region. Now let me just teach you LS of human ovum in detail. Yeah, ovum. So this is a female reproductive gamete, children. Very beautiful diagram here. You can see again the ovum, as you can see, oval in shape and very interesting. And they are present inside the ovary of a female, children. And as usual, it is an animal cell. So it is covered by an outer layer called plasma membrane. This plasma membrane has three coats, children. You can look at the diagram. Three coats, the outer coat and the middle coat and the inner coat. So that actually in human womb, there is no yolk. Yolk is nothing but fatty substance. There is no yolk, absence of yolk, but that place is occupied by cytoplasm and nucleus. Moving on to the outer layer, which is called as plasma membrane, is composed of three layers. An outer corona radiata. You can see the corona. Corona means irregular shape finger-like projection. It's a rough structure, hard structure, which protects the egg. Okay, so outer line is called corona radiata, and inner line is called as, you can see the zona pellucida, and innermost layer surrounding the cytoplasm is called as vitelline membrane. So an ovum is covered by a plasma membrane. This plasma membrane is a combination of corona radiata and outer thick membrane, zona pellucida, the middle membrane, or the inner thin membrane. Again, innermost membrane are just outer of the cytoplasm. They have vitelline membrane. There's a space in between the vitelline membrane and the zona pellucida. That's called perivitelline space, and it's filled with perivitelline fluid. I hope it is very clear, children. The follicular cells, which are going to be turned into ovum in future, children, so they are present in the corona radiata region. Is that clear? Yes. Now we'll just move on to the puberty. In the case of a boy, it will be 13 to 14 years. Girls will attain puberty at the age of 11 to 13 years. So what is puberty actually? A male or a female or a boy or a girl, during this stage what happened? Their reproductive organs will be functional. Till that time, it will be inactive. They won't function actually. But at this age, the reproductive organs in their body will start functioning. and followed by the secretion of sex hormones. In the case of male, testosterone. In the case of female, it is estrogen and progesterone. I'm going to learn that in detail now, children. So puberty is nothing but where a particular person, either male or a female, they are getting ready to enter into the reproductive cycle in their life. So now during this time, hormones are secreted. I told you, as you can see here on the slide, children, very clearly everyone. Hormones which are secreted by a boy is called testosterone. From testis it will be released, and in the case of girls it's estrogen and progesterone, and particularly this testosterone and estrogen, progesterone, all these hormones are completely controlled by luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, which are present in the pituitary gland. So at that time of puberty, and boy is going to attain puberty, girl is going to attain puberty, the pituitary gland will secrete these two hormones. And LH, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, will be just coming through the blood. It goes to the reproductive organs and allowing those organs to undergo for maturation. Is that clear? So testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all these hormones are completely controlled over by LH and FSH by the pituitary gland. So I hope it is clear, children. In today's session, I taught you the reproductive system very, very clearly, reproductive organ of a male and female reproductive organ, reproductive gametes in detail, and finally I taught you puberty and the related hormones secreted. I hope it was very clear, and please go through the topic whichever I have taught you today. Thank you very much for your patience in listening to me, children. I hope you will definitely go through, and I will see you all in the next session. Thank you and God bless you all.